I have often wondered through my experiences with connecting with those in spirit, how are they experiencing reality? I've thought that with my own dad. And last week, in a mediumship connection with a lovely gentleman in spirit, the husband of a wife who had come to me for this connection, gave me a glimpse into that answer and backed it up with some evidence about himself that related to his answer to that question. In this connection, I won't go over all the evidence, but he helped me understand his hobbies, things I would not have known about him, and much about his personality. And one of the things that he shared about his personality was that he loved to experience lots of things, that he was kind of an adventurer, but really in the sense of liking to have interesting and unique experiences. And yes, that was very much true. And as we elaborate on that a little bit, the woman that was here in the connection with me sort of asked me, well, what do you think that's like? Can we ask him? Does he still get to do that in spirit? And I thought, wow, what a great question. And I said, I will ask, and I have a lot of integrity in this. So if I don't perceive an answer, I'll simply tell you that. And if we do, I'll ask for evidence. So I asked that of this gentleman in my heart space. How is it that you are able to still have experiences? And for some reason, I just chose like the Great Wall of China. How might you experience something like that? That's kind of the imagery that I chose to ask that question. And what he showed me was that he really is able to experience it in a way. Of course, he's unable to touch it and be there with his feet on the ground in the physical sense. But I thought this was fascinating. But what he shared was that as he can immerse himself in the Great Wall of China, he is flooded with all of its understanding at once, all of the history, all of the stories that have happened there, everything that surrounds the Great Wall of China, he can experience as sort of this flood of knowing and energy. Now, you might be asking yourself, well, how do you know that? Like, that's a very complex thought. How does that even come across to you? And often in mediumship, sometimes I really do hear direct things, but often they're sort of like feelings, and then they unfold as more information, and understandings. Over time, I have come to trust those because I'll get those same thought bubbles, if you will, of information about people and evidential things about their lives that are very complex that there would be no possible way I could know. So I come to trust that over time. And I just thought that was so fascinating how he flooded me with that understanding of how he's able to experience that. And so I relayed this information to his wife, who was sitting here in the mediumship connection. And we just kind of shared in some wonder about that. And then I asked him in my heart space, if I understood this correctly, show me something that you are choosing to experience in the beyond that would be evidence for your wife that this thought idea really came from you. And he showed me diving. And so I said, was your husband a diver? Did he really love diving as an experience? And she said, oh my gosh, yes, he did. He loved diving. And so I love that because it helps me know that as he gave me that very complex understanding, that really came from him. I backed that up with a question about his life. So then I asked, how do you experience diving in the beyond? And he sort of helped me in my mind's eye. I'm seeing the underwater, I'm seeing the sea. And in particular, he's showing me a fish. And what he unraveled next with the understanding and the feelings was that, and I'm sure I'm only able to capture this in a limited way because we are limited by our brains. Our reality is limited by what our brains can process and understand, just like every other living thing on this earth. What he helped me feel was that he can sort of become the fish in a way, not in the literal sense, but that he can kind of take his essence, his energy, and merge that with the fish. And what he loves to do is experience the sea, not as a diver like he did in life, but experience the sea as the life that's in the sea. And I just thought, wow, that is amazing. And also how insightful, and not something that I would have come up with on my own. I might have still in my own brain talked about exploring the sea from the human perspective, like going places I haven't been before. And instead, what he was passing along to me is, I already know what it's like to experience the sea as a diver. I did it in life. I like to experience the sea as the sea life. How wondrous is that? So just a little glimpse of what reality might be like, might be how we get to experience that. Then he shared this lovely message to his wife, and he said, he helped me feel, she's not an experiencer like me. She likes to kind of be more on the safe side. So I relayed that, and she laughed and said, oh, yes, I do. And he said, well, it's just fine. You don't have to do any of that when you're on the other side. You get to experience things as you choose. And I just thought that was so lovely. One last little note, unrelated but beautiful, so I have to share. He helped me feel that he would sometimes write little romantic lines of poetry, or just little romantic lines for his wife. And she laughed and said, really? He said that? Yes, he did. He used to write me little romantic lines of poetry. I had, in the last week, been nudged to pick up these little heart notes, little romantic lines of poetry. And this one says, I love you much, most beautiful darling, more than anyone on earth, and I like you better than everything in the sky, by E.E. Cummings. I didn't tell her that I had this, but I sent it to her as a little gift in the mail when our reading was done. And I'd like to read this to you. I told her, I have a surprise for you. I'm not going to tell you what it is. I'll send it out to you tomorrow. She wrote me last night, and this is what she said. And she gave me permission to share this. Hi, Amber. I received the note from Ron through you today. I want to thank you. It came at the perfect time. I was feeling quite sad the last few days, seemingly out of nowhere, and I asked him for a note from him. I feel bad about asking because he's so good at being in touch with me. And then his note through you was in the mail. This timing could not be more perfect. I know he is always around, but the physical gift is the icing on the cake, and it's exactly what I asked for. I know to ask Ron, and so now I do. Your talent and gift that you offer to clients is a beautiful gift. I'm so happy that we have connected, and as we know, there are no accidents. I love this so much. I didn't know in that reading that he used to send her little actual notes. He just helped me feel that he would write little romantic lines or little romantic lines of poetry. But I had, by surprise, sent her an actual little poetic love note. Her not having any idea what I was going to send, had asked her husband in spirit for a note from him. And that is exactly what she received. I feel so grateful. And my dad says, make sure I get credit too. I am so grateful and humbled that my dad and I can do this for you and you and you, all of you, and all of us. I cannot imagine anything more beautiful in life. Happy Valentine's Day, 2 days late.